Good morning, everybody. Kathy Hawk here. As we start this week, I'm excited for you to have a whole week starting. This is a Monday, regardless of when you watch it. You can make it the start of a week. And we're going to end it this week with something different than we've done before. So we're starting with my video and we're ending with a blog on Fridays that has been written by my husband, Gary. And he is a great writer with a lot of humor. So I know that it'll be a wonderful package for you to be able to put the two pieces together. So what the clarity teaching is, as well then as a nice reading follow-up. So let's start with today, and here's what I'm excited to talk about, is a principle called sacred selfishness. Now, doesn't that sound odd that I would be talking to you about being selfish? Well, it's obviously a play on words. It's meant to catch you. It's meant for you to go, what? Hold on, let me stop a moment. Let me pause and see what's going on here. A more, I'm going to say, bland way to say it would be sacred self-fullness. So how do you take care of yourself? How do you know what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to, so that you don't become an overdoer who loses energy and becomes a martyr? So sacred selfishness is, I always say, like an anti-martyr way to think about things. So martyrs, as you well know, are well modeled in our culture. And they'll be things like, oh yes, no problem. It's kind of that energy of, I will die for you no matter what. Okay, so how about if we're talking about with sacred selfishness, it's like, I will live for you. I will create a model for you of a person who knows what to say yes to, so that when you're doing that, you're there, you're present, you're excited, you're everything positive. And if you say no, you do it in that same way, in a very kind, compassionate no, to turn someone down for something. Like, I'm sorry, but it won't work right now. This is not a good time, as much as I'd love to help. This is going to be a not work. You know how to do that. I don't have to tell you how to decline gracefully, so that when you say yes, your 100% self is into it. And that's sacred self-fullness. And that is, and many of us had to say things that we had to say yes to, like all the people that have to school their kids at home. I mean, you had to say yes to that. So how do you do that? Yes. And it might be a grudging yes, like, oh my gosh, I don't have any choice. But you do have a choice. You always have a choice. And the choice is, how are you going to do that? Let's just use schooling kids at home. How are you going to do that in a way that has some kind of positive energy to it? Now, the blog that you're going to be reading about on Friday from Gary, he's going to say, and I think you'll find this fun. He said, he tells us about some of the synonyms for selfishness that you probably thought about, which were like, oh my gosh, that's me. I'm self-indulgent, I'm being spoiled, all of that. So how about if we need to modify those synonyms? That's what he writes. For this new definition to include self-directed visionary, self-centered and aligned with life, self-infatuated and confident, sacred selfish by serving others from a life full of celebration and joy. And that's what I want you to think about this week. What have you said yes to? And if you said yes and it turned out to be more of a martyr issue, where you just are really drained, then you can go back in and think up another strategy for it. So that is, good morning there. Good to see you. So really honoring your time as one of the essential, healthy energy blocks that you have that you can spend however you want. So you're allocating your time just as if you are your life energy, your chi, your kundalini, your life force. So that's sacred selfishness, for you to think about all week, and know that we're going to end the week with a really fun summary and a nice writing and Gary's thoughts on sacred selfishness. And he's called it shock and awe. So let's have shock and awe this week between now and Friday. And so I'm going to end now. Have